Welcome back to WD Magiccast for the week of August 7th, 2024. This is episode 267. WD Magiccast, the show about the mouse, the Marvels, the galaxy, and beyond. I'm your host, Matthew Graken. In this week's show, Sir Isaac and I sit down and review Deadpool and Wolverine, the latest Marvel smash movie to cut its way into the taco-verse of the cinemas. And not only that, then we're going to discuss San Diego Comic-Con, some of the big news that dropped and was unmasked during the con. Don't forget to check out on social media. Let us know everything going on, where we can be found everywhere at WD Magiccast. On Twitter, X, Instagram, Threads, YouTube, you name it, we're pretty much on Facebook. We are out there. Links to all of them are in the show notes. Speaking of links, also check out our TeePublic shop where you can get yourself some really nice, cool WD Magiccast stuff. Get something for yourself and help out one of your favorite podcasts. And on that bombshell, on with the show. One of the strangest conversations I think that happened during the acquisition of Fox wasn't so much about, oh, look, Disney now has this. Oh, look, Disney now has MASH. Oh, look, Disney now has the movie rights to The Sound of Music. No, it was, what is Marvel going to do about Deadpool? Because Marvel doesn't do R-rated movies. And all the haters out there kept on hating and saying they're going to ruin it. They're going to make Deadpool PG-13 like all the other ones because they don't do R-rated movies. It's going to be awful. They're going to just get their claws in it because that's what they do. I have an eyewitness, someone that's willing to testify, to put his hand on an adamantium claw and promise to the tacos and the chimichangas that he has seen this movie and it is R-rated. That man is in witness protection. So we brought in Isaac to be able to talk about the movie and tell us what he thought of it and also discuss some of the crazy goings-ons at San Diego Comic-Cons because yes, they unmasked a few different things there. Isaac, welcome. How are you doing?
No, man, I'm doing great. It's good back to always be on this podcast, man. No, and yes, there is a lot of things that we have to unmask. I know we've kind of used that word now 3 times in this podcast, though. But yeah, but other than that, pretty much, no. It's like I said, I did have the opportunity to check out Deadpool Wolverine this actually a couple of days ago, this past weekend, and as you were mentioning too, I will admit, I know you had a little bit more faith that Disney would keep Deadpool rated R. I would have to admit I wasn't one of the people over there that was
what do you mean?
I was a little skeptic. I'll admit I was probably one of the skeptics out there but listen, I could understand was Disney, again, they are a family company first, and in terms of where business goes, it does make sense to be more PG-13 and be more open to get people to the movie theaters. And I understand the business thing about that. So
I think people also don't realize that Fox is still Fox, and one of the movies that they released was The First Omen.
Oh yeah. No, and honestly, that's true. But now that Disney has acquired pretty much all of the Marvel stuff, acquired all those rights, now they have liberties to do whatever they need to do for the sake of their business. So, listen, there was a little bit of skeptic if they were willing to go the rated R route, if they're going to allow Ryan Reynolds to continue to have that much liberty and control over the Deadpool product. Because let's be honest, the only reason why Deadpool is here is because of Ryan Reynolds and the stuff
Oh
that
yeah.
he, even back to the day when he ended up leaking, and him and I guess I forgot the writer along with the creator was willing to leak. It was Paul Warnick were willing to leak that trailer out to the public to see that test trailer, that 3D test trailer, to see if people were interested. And
Hmm.
it honestly paid off. That's what kicked off the whole idea of now, to the point that
It was
Deadpool.
before they had a studio or
Yeah,
anything.
no, even before they even got a budget, that's what really kind of is that generated fanfare of wanting to see this actually on the big screen. And because of that, we're now here in 2024, where as it stand, both Deadpool and Wolverine is the highest grossers R-rated film right now, and probably still growing. It's incredible how Deadpool has
Opening day,
managed
highest opening
open a day
day
for a
for it.
run,
Yeah.
and go growing. And it's amazing how Deadpool has a trilogy before the Justice League, which I'm not bitter about that at all. But with that
Well,
being said, I
there's
think it's
what? There's
amazing about
there's
that.
two Justice League movies.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's
It's the same movie, but
it's the
there's two
same
of them.
film. Yeah, yeah, you're being very coy on that, but
And the
honestly,
sequel's so much better than the original.
yeah, no, I agree. But no, with that being said, in terms of the film, I honestly I think this was where Marvel has been these last couple of years right now. I think it was important that Marvel really needed a layup. Like, this was a sure. I'm not gonna say it was a sure layup in terms of films, because we don't know how it turned out to be. But in terms of just my pure enjoyment, it was just a fun, back to basics kind of Marvel film right now. Kind of like, it gave you your basic Deadpool gaffs, but I think it had a little bit of heart in it too. I think they really did. Ryan Reynolds really did try to go with more heartfelt scenes. This time over, in terms of over the crazy, gags and sexual innuendo jokes that you get through a lot of the Deadpool series, though. But I think there was a fun balance with that, along with some pretty cool cameos.
Yeah, that's one thing that I'm seeing in the reviews now. Just to be fair, I have not seen the movie yet. I will plan on seeing it one day, but at this point in time, I just too much going on. I have not been in a theater in months. But if you guys want to sponsor us, please make sure to check out the links in the show notes to help sponsor, send some money to the show to be able to help us pay for going to the movies. Um, Shameless plug aside, the a lot of the reviews and some of the things I'm seeing, besides the hilarious, well done, et cetera, is a number of people talking about the amount of heart and how much um, a little more story there is, and it's more than just, like you said, dirty jokes and foul language and just blood and gore. There is an actual underlining story and some more connective tissue to this movie than there has been in the past two Deadpools.
Hmm. Yeah, no,
I'm not
I
saying that
agree.
they don't have story, but they're more in it for the cheap laughs.
Yeah, and there were kind of moments where, like, they would have heart moments, but then it would go back into a toilet joke back there. So I do say they did try to give out more heartwarming moments in terms of the speeches and the dialogue in it. But again, you know what you're getting. This is a Deadpool movie. You're gonna get your quips. You're going to get the fourth wall breaking moments. You're going to get ties to him taking shots at Disney and Fox
No,
and
of
Kevin
course.
Feige and all that stuff. That's just kind of what you expect in terms of the brand that goes into it, though. But yeah, no, this is probably like the big swan song for in terms of Deadpool in general, and in a weird way, almost kind of like the final closing chapter of 20th Century Fox and how they were able to contribute into the entire superhero genre. You know, having Deadpool was under 20th Century Fox, the first Fantastic Four, um, the X-Men, you know, all those
Hmm.
films that were under their brand, under their banner. So it's kind of a closing out moment in that retrospect, though. Again, I although I did feel that the third act did kind of go down a little bit hill with certain scenes. Again, it wasn't again a terrible film. It's still a good film. I think the first two acts were a lot more stronger. The third act really was just kind of like, well, we kind of need to sit down and wrap this up, you know, generally speaking, in certain regard. Um, but I think it was a fantastic film. Again, Ryan Reynolds does his thing. The fact that he was able to get Hugh Jackman back when Hugh Jackman swore he would never come back to the character again. So the fact that Ryan Reynolds was able to convince him to return back to fill in the shoes and finally get into comic book accurate Wolverine that we've all been wanting for such a long time. I think this was really a fanfare moment. It's just kind of this was a movie just dedicated to the fans and stuff like that, which I thought was incredible and amazing in that regard.
And one of the big questions going into this, does this um, water down or cheapen or just take away the effects of Logan, the movie?
So it's very funny because it because now that we are dealing with the MCU, the multiverse, I I in I would say 50. It depends on your perspective. Let's leave it at that. I
Okay.
think in terms of how the story starts, it does leave for more of a funny gag that goes into the overall arc of what him having to deal with the TVA, and that's basically set up by the secondary villain. I would say that played by Matthew, Mr. Paradox, played by Matthew McFadden, and his control over the part of the TVA being Rogue, leading into that. So does it cheapen? No, but it does play a very interesting part to the story of why Wade Wilson's character has to basically, you know, hunt for a particular variant of Wolverine because, you know, he was known as this great hero that was able to save his world. So, again, when you actually go see the movies, this is all comic book service to the brim in terms of cuts and there are a lot of funny jokes and gags into it. Again, I don't want to sit down and ruin it for you though, but let's just say that Ryan Reynolds runs into more variants of Wolverine than we let lead until we get the Wolverine that he eventually ends up partnering with. I will
That's
honestly say
something I
that.
heard as well, that, there's more than one Wolverine in the movie. So that's not really a spoiler, that was put out there
Yeah.
at some point. And Deadpool dog,
Yes.
is
Yes.
is that an actual good part to the movie? Is that something that's just, oh my goodness, now where they're kind of running out of ideas?
Again, I think that goes based on perspective. At that point, again, you know, Deadpool dog is the most adorable dog out there right now. He's one of the, you know, I think it was a real ugly. I think the dog won the best ugly award. I'm pretty sure. Like that's kind of who the dog is, though. But
Hmm.
very incredibly adorable, though. But again, in terms of watching the film, it basically amounts to being a weird buddy cop slash road trip film if you look at it and basically at that. And then the whole point of that film is them running into cameos throughout the entire film. Everybody, it really does. Again, it pays homage to a lot of actors that actually came back to reprise a lot of the roles from certain films back at certain films that were under the Fox banner, which they do a really good job, and even certain films that never really had an opportunity to even get in film that made, I thought was really cool, and the way that they did that, and the way how they were able to tie it into the MCU. So, and I think what's also interesting now that now with Deadpool and Wolverine, and in terms of Marvel, it now kind of finally concludes that every superhero film that Marvel has made up to them are now finally under the MCU banner. Um, Based on how this film, once you see this film, you'll understand like every major character you could think of is now on the MCU banner now, which the way they were
Excellent.
able to present, which is now presented. So
Okay.
again, overall, this is really just your fun typical popcorn summer film. Again, it does get a little weaker at the third act, just to kind of push for time. I thought Emin Corrin, who played Cassandra Nova, basically, if anybody knows in Xbox, in X-Men, that is twin sister to Professor X in the comic books that everybody knows. I thought she was obviously charming. I think she was charming. I think she loved the part. I think she was in the part than most in her role than mostly anybody else in the film. I thought she did a fantastic job. Again, her character did feel a little weak headed into the third act of the film, though. But I thought she was fun. I definitely thought she was fun. And then, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds. Hugh Jackman is great. I said Matthew McFadden as Mr. Paradox had a blast. There were a lot of people in this film that really had a fantastic,
How was
really were
Taylor
having
Swift?
fun. Yeah. So, that she did not make an appearance in this film. I could tell you that's one cameo that never made an appearance in the film. I know there was a lot of rumors about that
Oh
because
yes.
I because everybody saw her with Hugh and Ryan Reynolds at Monday Night Football in New York. So
Yep.
everybody starts swarming around that, oh, this is it. This is confirmation. Clearly, that wasn't the case, and it was already broken a couple of weeks ago that Taylor Swift was not making an appearance in the film. So that was to be true on that.
For people not paying attention. And
Yeah.
just to be clear, so this is not a kiddie movie.
No, it's not. This is definitely rated R. A lot of sexual innuendo jokes. A lot of f bombs being dropped. A lot of blood and gore. No, this is definitely a true rated R property. I would say, I think the first one, right? This would really be the first one in the movie theaters, right? Or am I wrong?
For Marvel, yes.
Yes, because this is their first venture into rated R.
They were trying to push that for Multiverse of Madness and just
They
didn't.
pulled back,
Yeah.
which is terrible. Which is a terrible idea. Which I
They
think was
just
a
they
terrible.
didn't have just didn't have it in them to be able to do it then. Um, but from my understanding, that cut does exist. I could be wrong, but so yeah, I believe this is the first official fully R-rated, and you could tell that they were pushing the envelope with the past several films.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's been going that route. I think again, they've been warming up to leading to this film though. But again, this is the true comfortable. I think Disney has now been more comfortable in realizing that, hey, there are other sections of Marvel fans within
Mm-hmm.
your community. It's okay. You can have those sections out. And based on now the box office numbers, I think they're going to be a little bit more okay to. They're not going to clearly abandon PG
No,
13.
not
No,
every Marvel
no,
movie is going to be R-rated now from
no,
here to
no.
eternity.
But now that the numbers have looked really good, and again, Disney has needed a win in the MCU for such a quite long time, I think it does now give a little bit more flexibility that we can have more mature films in the MCU. You can also have some family films in the MCU, and they all can meet in the middle when you have to do your event, when they have to all meet in the Avengers films in the next couple of years. That's totally
Yes.
fine. So
Yes. So what would you give out of 10? What would you give this rating?
I would say this was an enjoyable. I'd give this an enjoyable 8. I think this was a fun film. I think this is a fun blockbuster summer film. Again, this was just they need Disney needed this. This is
Oh,
I think
yes.
Disney needed this to ensure that um that they can that as a fan for me I needed this because this was going to be determined if is it worth going to the movies to see in these films or just simply waiting to Disney Plus that comes back, which would have been a lot more cheaper film. So the
Oh, yeah.
fact that you know both Deadpool and Wolverine delivered on this third act for their trilogy does give me a little bit of insurance. That does not now again that doesn't mean I'm still a little bit hesitant in the next couple of movies moving forward. The next movie next will be Captain America Brave New World, so we're gonna actually have to see how that works out. But based on the trailer, it looks really really good. But their kind of reboot into MCU with everything that's happened, yeah, I think this is a good start. You could say this is a strong start heading into the next Avengers films.
Excellent. Excellent. And would it be safe to ask you your MVP of the movie? Or for spoiler reasons, you cannot mention this character?
Uh, I don't know if there's a true MVP in this entire film that like I was grabbed. Actually, no, that's actually not true. I would actually give it to Emma Corrin's character, Cassandra Nova's character. I found her delightful in this entire film. After coming back from that film, I was like, man, she totally embodied and totally embodied Nova's character throughout this entire film. She was menacing, and you actually believed her. Like she was truly menacing, and you can honestly look at a movie where you can tell the actor's really having fun with the character because she probably has done things that she would never have done in actual real films. Like this is a comic book film where she really had fun with the character, being bald headed and just being maniacal. And I really resonated with her character the most in this entire film for
Awesome.
the most time that she had into it. I really liked her character a lot.
That's good. Awesome. I do look forward to watching it. Um, I was surprised by the first two movies, particularly the first one. Second one kind of just followed suit as closer to what I was expecting after watching the first one. But I am looking forward to this one, this third one. They did a fantastic job building the hype for it, whetting our appetites. What last year when they were starting to drop everything with the videos between Hugh and Ryan, and yeah, it's on my must see list.
No,
Just when will I must see it?
no,
Hopefully
that
sooner than later.
no, no, definitely. This has been it's weirdly insane how they've been building this up for 20 years. W- Unintentionally
Yes.
building this up. So yeah.
All right. And on that pivot, let's pivot to San Diego Comic Con, where it happened just this past weekend from when we're recording this, which is July 30th. Um, yeah, a few things came out of this. Not much on the Star Wars fronts. A couple book series and Marvel related graphic novels, comic books, those coming out. Disney, I don't really think Disney proper dropped much or anything that I was aware of.
Hmm. Not that I was aware of either.
No, they're gonna save their stuff for San
D323.
Diego Comic Con next week. Not just San Diego
D23.
D23. Thank you.
I know
It's been a long day, people.
it's been a long day, and they're all starting to kind of butt heads with each other too. So I could totally understand that. Yeah.
D20 San Diego, New York Comic Con. You got Marvel, which had a bunch of number of things, and even Doctor Who. So let me start with Doctor Who because I think that'll be
Yeah.
the simplest and quickest for to go over
Yeah.
before
Let's
we
do that.
peel the many layers of this
Hmm.
juiciest onion that Kevin Feige brought with him. Hey, I have an onion here for you. Would you like to take a bite? Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, Doctor Who announced officially. We kind of figured this was going to happen. I think it was even in the press release, whatever the show was optioned. That they have officially named a spin-off series. Um, I'm looking forward to it. I just hope they change the title because the title just sounds like something that is going to be a 5 episode thing and done.
Yeah,
But
from what I'm hearing, like you said, they announced the new Doctor Who spin-off, which is I think right now titled Unit. Right now, is that correct? I
nope,
think
it
no.
is the war between land and
And
sea.
sea, the war between land and sea. Oh wow, okay, that is a very interesting title for them to go with.
That's
Yeah,
what I
it
said.
is the war between land and sea, which sounds like to be that would be confusing. I would think they would have to attach unit to that. I before they even drop this off because this is going to be a mini series right now, like a 5 part, six
I
part mini
they you know what
series.
they didn't actually say
Well,
what the length is.
it is it's leading. It's a 5 part series.
Oh, okay, you saw that.
It
Okay,
it is
because I haven't found
it's
that.
a 5 part series, which again, um, I if you're not a Doctor Who fan, you probably really know that based on that title. So that is very interesting that they're going to lead with that title. Part of me
It,
thinks
it it sounds like either something from Game of Thrones or
yeah,
Lord of the Rings or
are Peter Jackson
yeah.
and the Olympians right now. Not nothing really tied to a Doctor Who property right now, which is why I think they need to attach unit the war between land and sea, and I think that would be a better title choice because this is focused around unit, the
Yeah.
global, the task force that is featured in Doctor Who. Throughout the whole situation. So, from what I've heard, they actually announced a couple of actors are actually coming back. Russell Tovey will be making his appearance. Juju Matha Raw, if people know her from Loki, from the Loki series, she'll also will be joining. She'll be joining the cast members of alumni Gemma Redgrave. Also,
Mhm.
everybody knows her from Kate Linsbridge and
Kate Blanchett Stewart. Yep.
Stewart, and then Alexander Deverant, who is the brand new character who's playing Colonel Ibrahim right now, who was introduced in the Giggle episode, if everybody remembers that, and has actually
Yes.
been a couple of the mainstay in the unit episodes within the new series of Doctor Who right now.
And
Was
also in Ted Lasso.
Nujigatwa and Ted Lasso. It was Nujigatwa. So the right now that is the entire cast members that be announced with that, and you also know that the particular enemy that they're going to face because it was also introduced under last season's Doctor Who, the previous season of a Doctor Who. They introduced the new threat that Unit will be fighting against in this new episode.
Yeah, I believe it's the Sea Devils.
Correct.
Which is they go back to the third Doctor, so this is back to in the 70s, where
Oh, so
those characters came out.
even further back. Okay.
Yeah, the Sea Devils have been around. Well, and the strange little history on that is there's an episode of Doctor Who that's called The Civilians, featuring Doctor Who, and that was supposed to be a spin-off back then that they were going to spin off, and that's where they introduced the Sea Devils. So it's going to be the Ceruleans versus the Sea Devils. Um, Never happened, obviously, because we know
Mm.
that now. But this is, I guess no good idea ever really goes away, and I guess this is kind of going to be their new take on that. Sea Devils are very interesting characters. Hence by their name, they live in the sea. Ceruleans live underground and kind of they've been battling between each other. So I'm wondering if that more has to do with the title than the Unit versus the Sea Devils. But it could be either way. Uh, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this. It will be available on Disney Plus in everywhere except for the United Kingdom, where that will be on the BBC's iPlayer, where Doctor Who is currently found in the Great certain areas.
Mm-hmm. And again, this is not really the first time Russell D. Davis is again. He's still helming a lot of the
Yep.
Doctor Who projects come back again, and again, this is now like we've also been accustomed to also having a Doctor Who series along with a spinoff. He's come back to do Torchwood. He's done the
Sarah Jane
Sarah Jane
Adventures.
Adventures. So this he's also no, I was going to say he did Class, but I think that was under Robert. That
The
was under Moffat. I think that's under. Was
the
it? That would have
Stephen
to be.
Moffat
That
did
was the Stephen
Class.
Moffat did Class under the Stephen Moffat run. So it's always been common knowledge to know there would
And
be some
K9 had
kind of
nothing to do with anything.
no,
Yes.
no. So there's always been common knowledge to know that we will have a cool spin-off right next to Doctor Who season, and there's probably going to be any guess that we'll actually see the Doctor in this 5-point miniseries in some form of way.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Doctor didn't show up either at the very beginning or the end. At some point, I would think they would make um, he'd make a quick appearance.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't. It may just be a quick appearance, and then that's it. Definitely referenced to, but I don't think anything. I don't think anything like long term.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going on off the basis of again the Sarah Jane Adventures and also Torchwood. Torchwood, the Doctor didn't show up till end of season 2. No, sorry, end of season 1. End of season 1, the Doctor shows up there, or even more is alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sarah Jane Adventures, I believe the Doctor was in the first episode, or again, much more alluded to that the Doctor was going to be in it. Same thing with Class. So it just a little bit of a tie-in, and sometimes not even really at all. It's just kind of
Yeah.
more of a reference.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. Yeah. A lot of certain fans are a little disappointed that Freeman Igermine, who everybody knows was a Doctor Who companion, also later on theoretically joined the team unit, and a lot of people were hoping that she wouldn't make a kind of appearance or bring back certain people that were a part of unit because of Russell D. Davis coming back, but no announcement of her character or any other characters of the past of that nature. I think
No,
even
not.
Don, yeah,
I was going to say not yet. We still have time that those things can be negotiated and brought out. A lot of it also, I'm sure, has to do with how much money. We do also have to keep in mind that this is basically like a hard reset. The show is still continuing on from its 1963 airing date, but it is also a reboot. It's not a continuation of the 2005 series. The 2005 series technically ended at the 60th anniversary episode where they had the bi-generation split, where you have Shati's Doctor heading off in his direction and David Tennant now sitting back and relaxing and having tea with Donna Noble. So you have some of the unit characters. They brought in Mel. They brought that character back, which was a companion from the Sixth Doctor.
mm-hmm.
You have Donna's daughter, Rose. I think she was in it. But yeah, the other ones may or may not show up. I don't. They're not under any obligation that they have to bring them in. If they want to, they can. Also, it depends on what Freema's doing. I would love to see her back at it again, but do they also need her?
No, you're absolutely right. Like again, they don't have to though. But in terms of fanfare. I think a lot of fans just believe because Davis is back on the helm that he may reprise some older characters back into this new era of Doctor Who in some form or way, just for maybe fans' sake, just
Yeah.
a piece fire to bringing certain characters back.
Oh,
Um,
I would be more than thrilled.
and also, they all don't need to come back as their characters. Again, we've always seen within Doctor Who that a lot of these actors that have been in the series have come back, have played multiple roles. So it would not be begust if any of these characters were come back and it's a completely, totally different character in the series. I think even Russell Tovey's character is coming back as a completely different character. He was already cast in a Doctor Who. I think also played a different character. Now he's coming back as somebody completely else. So this seems to be very par for the course right now. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I mean, we shall see. He was just a Unicard before, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Just quickly skimming IMDb, and I'm not seeing him
Mm-hmm.
being tied to Doctor Who.
Okay,
So
I
we
could
don't
be
know.
wrong. I could totally be wrong, guys.
Yeah.
It happens. Not the first
Oh,
time.
here we go. The Lives of Captain Jack. But that was something else. That's why we really go back on that. If he's more tied to Torchwood stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So yeah, we will have to see. Oh,
Exactly.
okay. One of his first credited roles. There we go.
I think the more that you bring this character, I do remember him being tied to Captain Jack in some form of way. So you may be right.
Um. So if he with the Captain Jack thing I saw, or is it the Doctor Who one? Listed him as midshipman,
Yep.
and
Mhm.
kind of makes me laugh. I know exactly midshipman frame. That's from Doctor Who Confidential. It's playing himself. Sorry, I swung past it on this other list that I'm looking at. He if it's who I think it is, he shows up. Oh,
I think it has to be
Voyage of the
Rob.
Dam.
Wait,
Okay.
it had to be under Davis, right?
Yeah.
Would have to be under
Um
Davis's run.
yeah, Voyage of the Dam. He was the midshipman on that. And then his character, I believe, shows up again uh, at the end of Tennant's run, whenever he's doing his grand circle goodbye, where Captain Jack is sitting in a bar.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where I
And
remember
that's
his character the
the
most.
Captain
Yeah,
Jack tie-in.
yeah,
Because they destroyed Torchwood by that point, so he's out in outer space.
yeah.
So yes. Um there we go. 10 minutes on one random character.
Yeah, I know. Oh yeah, I know. Exactly though. But overall,
Yes.
I think again we're definitely looking forward to this. They haven't really announced. I know they're going to start filming soon, like you said. It's going to be BBC One, BBC, and then clearly with Disney Plus once they start filming. I don't think they announced the filming date though, but it should be starting soon this year, right?
It should be starting soon. We don't even have like an actual release date, and then possibly next year.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, we really have no information
Okay.
to go from there.
All right. Well, we definitely know that it's a project that is soon coming down the pipeline, and it's definitely
Yes,
coming soon.
and be
S-
listening here, and we'll keep you up to date and let
of,
you know whenever it comes out.
Yep. Speaking of more San Diego Comic-Con news that happened over the weekend, of course, more Marvel news that gets tacked on would be basically Captain America: Brave New World, with Anthony Mackie coming back to reprise his role as one Sam Wilson, who's taken over the Shield. He's also going to be joined with newcomer Harrison Ford, playing who'll be taking on the role of Thunderbolt Ross. That was played by a former late actor. I apologize. I don't know his name off the top of my head. Which
Yeah, I want to say
played.
it's like one of those you want to say, oh yes, it's that person, but um,
Yeah,
yeah.
Thunderbolt Ross, which was played by the late William Hurt,
There we go.
who took on that character at that time. So definitely looking forward to that. Really, any thoughts about this panel? Honestly, I mean, other than the fact that a trailer was released a couple of weeks back, really kind of showed returning characters from Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
The trailer looked good.
Hmm.
I'm curious to see how they go about it, where they go about it. They're not shying away from the Red Hulk being in it.
Oh yeah.
Um, you just don't know exactly where everyone lies at this moment, and it's supposed to be a little more of an espionage type of film. That's how they're pitching it. Little more a la Captain America and the Winter Soldier
A
than
lot more thriller.
yes, than
More
it is going to
thriller,
be like
yeah.
a shoot 'em up, like a big action movie.
Mhm.
Considering that the main bad guy is going to be Sidewinder.
I
I think.
believe so. I I haven't really found a confirmation exactly who's the villain in this.
Oh, I saw
Though
something
I
earlier.
thought I thought it was a part. I thought it would have been from the Serpent Society. I thought the Serpent
Yes,
Society would have been one of the more
that's who it
bad
is. It's the
characters.
Serpent Society,
Which
and what?
people are saying that it might be. Which I could be wrong. I think that's the reason why Giancarlo Esposito was introduced into the cast in some form of way. I think that's why. I think that's what I've heard that was being attached to that character, though. But other characters that make their announcement too in this, other than that, also was
Sidewinder is who he's playing. Yes.
yeah, Danny Ramirez also comes back to reprise his role as Joaquin Torres, who basically takes on the new mantle as Falcon,
Yep.
headed into this too. And on top of that, I think another actor from Falcon Winter Soldier, Carl Limby, who played Isaiah Bradley, also makes his return
Oh, nice.
as you remember in the trailer, that's the guy who throws the remember he's the dude who throws the Secret Service agent into the wall, and he's the one seen running out of the White House blasted through that window. That's Isaiah Bradley's character.
Okay.
Cause
All right.
cause so that's going to be a very interesting story and how that all gets fit into that movie, into this particular movie moving forward.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, obviously with bated breath, but I am looking forward to this movie. I really hope for Anthony Mackie's sake they do this right. Um, because it's it's kind of the first time you're keeping a character and switching actors.
Yeah.
And it's not like, okay, we have to do a hard recast because this one no longer is asking for too much money, like War Machine, or this one is in legal trouble like some other characters. No, this is an intentional
Passing of
part
the
of the
torch.
writing. Yep.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope this plays out well. And I am looking forward. I like what he's done with this character so far, and this is a nice natural progression. And I think this could be done well. There's a lot of promise here.
No, it looks again. The trailer looked really good coming out. It is taken. it's definitely taking cues, like you said, from the Winter Soldier, which is arguably one of my favorite Marvel movies
Oh,
out of
same.
all time, of just how well paced that movie was. So if you're gonna do something like this, it's a great cue movie to take from it. But other than that, looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I got
I do
much
like
to
the
say
one
to
little
that.
quip line of, I didn't recognize your face at first. And whoever Anthony Mackie says to Harrison Ford, being that it's a different actor, Harrison Ford said, "Yes, I shaved my mustache,"
Yeah, exactly.
and they play it off that way, which I thought was brilliant.
Yeah, I thought it was good.
Yeah. And what else do we have here?
So moving on from that, we basically another big movie that's finally announced. MCU will finally introduce the first superhero family will be making their appearance hopefully next year, and that would be the Fantastic Four. Was actors Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards, Vanessa Kirby playing Sue Storm, Joseph Quinn playing Johnny Storm, the hot-headed brother, and Mr. Avon Moss Baccarat playing Mr. Ben Grimm into this hot spot. Also join along with that will be Paul Walter Halser, who's having a fantastic career right now in Hollywood. Julia Garner playing Shella Ball, which, if anybody knows that, she will be the female version of Silver Surfer, and Ralph Inson playing Galactus is also going to be making their Dawn introduction. Other than that, what did you think about this particular panel that was on the scene mentioned, as well as they did show their flying car in this segment? And also, before you mentioned that, I also wanted to let you know that this is going to be a time period piece in an alternate future set in the 1960s. So this won't be actually attached to the MCU yet. This is going to be a separate part of to the MCU where they're actually going to do a simple time period piece.
I think that's a very interesting take, but I'm not surprised whenever you think back to the original picture that they dropped of the four
Yes.
primary actors in that living room setting. There also is a subtitle to the film now, Fantastic Four: The First Steps. Sorry, just Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Hmm.
Um, I I'm very curious on how it goes about. I had a feeling before they announced that this will be in a different part of the multiverse. That does not surprise me. And now they just confirmed that. Uh, it, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's a different take. It's a different direction with some things, and with the two previous iterations of the Fantastic Four, I think it was time to do something a little fresher, a little different, kind of like what they did with Spider-Man.
Hmm. I agree.
In a 1960s set piece, I will have to see how that plays out. Hopefully, well enough. Hopefully, they don't make it cheesy. Like try and make it like a 1960s sitcom. It's not Green Acres or the Andy Griffith Show.
Yeah. What I think about set periods too, because remember they did that with the first Captain America film, which was the first Avenger film, and again, granted, it wasn't one of the more the best film in that in terms of it was an important landmark that they had to start from that time period
Yep.
and then work their way up to modern day. So I am very interested to see how this futuristic 1960s set piece is going to work at that time, and more importantly how they're going to end up crossing the Fantastic Four into the 616 universe, some form of way, because a certain masked villain is coming, and that's their sworn number one enemy that they got to deal with. So, yeah, definitely looking forward to
Oh,
see
and
how
it's
that pulls that
Richard
off.
Reed's college buddy.
Yeah.
maybe.
We still don't even based on how this film is handled. We don't know if if he's going to even be attached to this particular villain that got announced through our as we talk more into the podcast. So
And
that
then
being said,
there was also the drone show that had
yes,
Galactus show up, and it was very much the comic book style Galactus that they showed for this drone show, which had to do with the movie.
yeah.
So it makes me wonder what they're going in that direction with that as well, because the Celestials that we've seen so far look like I don't know how to describe them,
Well,
but
I
rock
mean,
titans.
yeah, Rock Titans, but again, like we kind of knew that Galactus was going to be around the corner because again, Julia Gardner's character is going to be the female Silver Surfer, and everybody knows with Silver Surfer in Galactus is not far behind. So
No, and they also
we
teased that it with
yeah yeah
Eternals.
yeah, yeah, Eternals. But again, like we have to remember, this is a completely different. They've accepted this is a new universe, so that this film has no tie into the Eternals that are currently in the
This is true.
616. So, it's completely different situation. Again, I don't know how that's going to be handled, and most importantly, I don't know how that's all going to cross over until eventually they have to cross over. So, we'll see what
Good
moves
point.
on that. Yeah.
Good point. Where do you want to go next?
Next, after that, we also moving on. The announce of Thunderbolts, made its way
Thunderbolts
into
asterisk.
asterisk right now because we don't really have a sub tie for that right now at the moment. Very fun panel on that as well. Soren Florence Pugh playing Yelena Bulva, sister to Black Widow. Lewis Pullman takes on Robert Ronald. Sebastian Stan reprises his role as Bucky Barnes. We're gonna keep on moving on. Was David Harbour coming back as Alexi? Julia Louis Dreyfus returns back as Valentina. Hannah John Cameron, Ava Starr's character, makes her appearance back from the Ant-Man and the Wasp, the second film.
Ghosts.
Apparently, yes, everybody's favorite character, Wyatt Russell, John Walker, makes his appearance back as U.S. Agent, and Olga
The chin.
Kurylenko, yes, the Chin, Antonona Dragov, which everybody knows. Unfortunately, that was Taskmaster, and yeah, unfortunately, that character's come back. So, that being said, again, not much has been known about this. They didn't. I don't know when we're going to get a trailer for that particular film anytime
They
soon.
showed some stuff at
Yeah,
Comic Con, which was very well received. They said the
yeah.
reception was relative to um, James Gunn's Suicide Squad.
Oh, okay. That's
So
well. That's good. That's
yes,
good.
yes.
That's good. Good to know.
Um, I do have to say that David Harbour, I last summer binged the Stranger Things series, which he is a major character in, and become a very big fan of his acting. So I'm looking forward to what he brings in this film, which I think is going to have a little more weight than Black Widow did.
Oh yeah, no, and I think it's going to be a lot more of a fun film where we definitely get to see David Harbour really flex his muscles. He's just been he's a fantastic actor, and he's a different type of action hero too because he's kind of like your dad bod. He's really kind of your everyday man action hero. He's
Yep.
not big, he's not jacked up, but he plays that action role really great. Like you said, Stranger Things, he was Hellboy in another film back in the day. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
David Harbour really get to come back and flex himself as Alexei Stovanov. I think is fantastic, and hopefully we get that one day where he gets to interact with
Oh, and Gran
Captain
Turismo as well.
America. Yes, and Gran Turismo. Yes, we got a chance to see him kind of act with a brand new Captain America. It's not Steve
Yeah.
Rogers one, but we'll get it's going to be definitely fun. Uh, fun movie indeed with that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And my assumption is the asterisk has to do with a subtitle that will not be released until some other movie comes out.
Correct. Yep, I agree. I totally agree.
Yeah, go on.
With that being said, we're going to move into the final thing that got announced in Hall H on Saturday, and obviously we do know that the fact that two Avenger movies will be coming out, Secret Wars being one of them.
But that's
However,
not news. We've known about this.
well, that is not news, but the whole thing, though, again, is that one of these movies' titles end up getting changed due to the situation John other situation that happened. So, with Kane being dropped out as their main tentpole villain, they decided to bring in a new villain for Avengers, and that title was Avengers Doomsday. And not only did we get that big announcement, the Russo brothers was also announced a couple of weeks ago that they'll be coming back into the MCU to helm both of these films.
The Russo brothers, who formerly did Infinity War and Endgame, who will now be doing Doomsday and Secret Wars, which will be released in 25 and 26, no, 26 and 27,
27.
respectively.
Yes.
May of each of those years. So there will be a gap in between, which I'm sure there'll be a movie in between those two.
Yeah.
We got a reveal of who will be playing Doctor Doom, the new big bad for the MCU. Isaac, would you like to unmask our special guest?
Yes. So as the Russo brothers were and finally announced Doomsday, they end up bringing a ton of people that were cosplaying as Doctor Doom, but one came out in the bright green Doctor Doom suit and popped up to reveal his mask, and it's none other than Robert Downey Jr. returning to the MCU. He will be in which, from what I'm hearing, it will be an alternate universe where he is Doctor Doom in that. So maybe you get it
right into
yes,
the Secret Wars, because that's what happened in the comics.
that's correct. That is very, very correct.
Wasn't that Anthony Stark, I believe, correct?
I believe so. Yes. They just released another Secret Wars too, but I think they've always, I want to say Reed Richards was the one causing havoc in that one, but just Secret Wars always gets kind of rebooted and with a totally different hero or villain kind of leading the arc to that, though. But with that being said, with the announcement of Robert Downey Jr. returning back to MCU, there has been a lot of mixed emotions with this tie-in too. But that being said, I want to find out, where do you feel the side of RDJ making his return back to the MCU when you heard about this announcement?
I am going to say I'm not surprised. And the reason why I'm not surprised is because this is something that's been actually talked about, and RDJ himself, I believe, has mentioned that he's not done with the MCU. He will be back. There's been lots of talk about him coming back. It was just a matter of when and where he was coming back. At first it was like, oh, Spider-Man, he's in the little plaques and stuff in Spider-Man Far From Home. Oh, so no, but okay, wait, no, he's filming some stuff. It's going to be something that shows up in another movie, but we haven't seen that yet. So the fact that this has been something, again, it's been discussed now for years, that he's not done. He is saying himself he wasn't done. So now we know why he wasn't done. So yeah, he'll be back. I'm fine with it. I am absolutely fine with it. Especially if we're going with the Secret Wars and we're going to go along with the precedents that, it is an alternate universe Stark of sorts that would be taking over the mantle of Victor Von Doom. Even though they introduced him as Victor Von Doom, I think that's going to be a semantic. It's not going to be the main thing. Kind of a Scooby Dooish type of deal, but it will be. I think he likes stretching his acting chops, and I think taking on this character, I think we'll get to see a different side of his acting. Something a little more mischievous. He's going to be a playful villain, and sometimes you like having a playful, powerful villain. I mean, think of what Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
No, he was playful, but that was was it the creator? I forget his name, but he was dangerous too.
Yeah. No, I agree. No, I totally understand that. Yeah, agree.
How about you?
Um, if that is the case, then I would have to say I am on the other end of the spectrum when I heard about this announcement. Listen, I have always respected Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Even though Iron Man's not really one of my biggest favorite characters, I think I've been pretty brash on that for other comic book reasons, though. But I've always enjoyed Robert Downey Jr. because he embodied that character and that role. Again, I'm not
him.
It was him, and exactly that was him. And I think this is where I think it comes down to my point of, it's not that I don't think Robert Downey Jr. won't body the role. I think, like you said, he's going to bring a very interesting part from being Tony Stark in the early half of when MCU started to now in this new chapter where he's going to be playing a villain. I think, again, it's going to be a very interesting role. But I think when I think of what MCU, and if we talked about this, I think MCU has always done, and maybe this actually breaks the streak, in fact, finding MCU was built on risk, on taking properties that, listen, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America were properties that probably were not going to do well in the MCU. Again, this is when the time where they had Spider-Man and Sony. This is when Fox had the
because
MCU
all the
stuff
big characters they sold off, and this was the characters that no one wanted. And that's why they still had the movie rights. And this is what we have the movie rights to. Let's go with it, and it worked.
But here's the thing: not only was it, but it was still a gamble of a risk and one of the biggest gambles of a risk was taking on RGJ. Remember, his credibility in Hollywood was not great because of his past. So the fact that Kevin Feige and Disney were willing to take a risk on an actor,
Paramount.
Well, Paramount. Well, yeah, Paramount.
And not just that, it was also because he was cheap.
Well, that too, but still, it was a risk going forward. But just to kind of finish my point, MCU was built on taking risk on actors that you would never thought would body the role, and now because of that, he was the tentpole. Like, you can't think of any other character that could have played Tony Stark than RGJ. Moving forward, and then you can even say this to Thor. Nobody knew who Chris Hemsworth was. Did you know who Chris Hemsworth was when he took on the Thor role? Maybe you did in other films, but like, he kind of, his name brand built when he took on Thor moving forward.
Yeah, he's Captain Kirk's dad.
Captain Kirk's that too, but like, he grew up to but people know him more Thor than anything else other than that.
Chris Evans as Captain America. He wasn't anybody before that.
The last thing that I've heard of Chris Evans was in Not Another Teen movie back in the day, and that was when he was a lot more younger and skinnier, and then he grew up to be this muscular dude to play like
Fantastic
Captain America.
Four.
Well, yes, and Fantastic Four too. That is absolutely right. Which is also kind of weird that they would honestly take another shot at. Now, that he's blended into the MCU, but back then he was with Fox. So again, another gamble too
Yeah.
on taking a person Chris Evans, and since then it just seemed like, hey, let's give all these upcoming actors a chance to play these roles that we think they would never fit into. Like Benedict Cumberbatch's Doctor Strange was never my first choice. Loved them. Tom
Yeah.
Holland, a character I've never heard of, bodies Spider-Man so well.
Oh,
Anthony
absolutely. Yeah.
Mackie as the Falcon. Sebastian Stan, another actor that I didn't hear of, played Winter Soldier beautifully. I just
And
think,
see, the funny thing about Sebastian Stan is they
yeah,
brought him over from Once Upon a Time.
yes. Yeah, so I mean, and the list can go. The list goes on and on in terms of a lot of these actors. Dave Bautista was a WWE wrestler, and now everybody can't think of him as Drax. No one would took a. Chris Pratt was the dude from was the fat
Parks and
guy
Rec.
from Parks and Rec. Who would thought this guy who was fat would come up to be a chiseled A-lister star to play Star Lord? I mean, that's kind of the list
Well, he was only
that's
one
being.
sandwich away from being fat.
And but what my point is that
Yes.
you've given you've taken MCU has always been known to taking risk on actors that we never thought would play the role or would inhabit the role. Now there's starting to be a lot more famous people to play it, but there's like more of a general idea of taking risks to embody that role.
But
So,
even at that, like Vin Diesel as Groot,
oh yeah, hey, Bradley Cooper as
Cooper as
Rocket.
yeah,
As Rocket, and he has an Oscar to his name. He was willing to do voice work to play a raccoon character, a space raccoon. So I think
Trash Panda.
where I'm a little disappointed is that kind of bringing Robert Downey Jr. back into the fold kind of breaks that mold of trying to find the next possible actor that could have inhabit Doom. Again, one of my people that I was kind of hoping would have been Mad Mickelson. I mean, that guy played like from Hannibal, who's played villains his whole entire life, could have brought that gravitas to it. Or even Robert Downey Jr.'s co-star from Oppenheimer, Cillian Murphy. I could have totally see moving from Warner Brothers to take on the Doctor Doom character. I thought there would have been two interesting actors. I thought could have enhambled that Doom role in terms of being very serious and menacing, but also being charming is great. So with that being said, I was a little disappointed. I would have had, or to even see a brand new upstart actor to take on that role. I would have
Well, and I
totally
and
personally
I
would have loved to see that being played for Doctor Doom. So that announcement did feel. I felt it
it's
felt
the safe move.
it was a safe move. Yes, it was a safe move to really please, I guess, more of the casual audience to make that big announcement on Entertainment Tonight or Hollywood Reporter or Variety to know that Robert Downey Jr. is making his way back into the MCU in this form. So again, that's not to say Robert Downey Jr. is not going to body. He is an Academy Award actor himself now, from Oppenheimer. But I did feel like that announcement felt very anticlimactic in my opinion of that
Okay.
announcement.
No, fair enough. I think with the Jonathan Majors announcement and taking an upcoming actor
Yeah,
and taking on that risk, in this time it didn't pay out.
yeah,
Yeah, they're gonna bunt. They're gonna go with something something a little safer here to try and um, redirect people's attention away from what had the prior direction of things and character
yeah.
and try, okay, let's try something a little more tried and true and someone we have confidence in.
hmm Yeah, and
So
I think that was again. I feel like that was to please more of the shareholders, like again the Shore bet. Also, that being that Shore bet too was also bringing the Russo brothers back because again a lot of these the original director, it wasn't supposed to be
no.
one of the original directors dropped out because of everything that was happening right now. It just kind of felt like it was many fires that were happening during that time that all swarmed to be one big inferno that Disney was trying to put out little by little. So
Yep.
this does feel like the safe bet of bringing the Russo brothers back and bringing RG, bringing back two known names that people know and feel comfortable with the casual crowd. I think with the casual crowd that goes to the MCU movies, I think they feel more comfortable knowing that's going to be good. For us, I think for fans like me that really did appreciate MCU for being more risk taken, I felt like it's a bit of a safe cop out.
Yeah. The one thing I do want to put out there, around the universe, now the Russo brothers are confirmed to helm the movies. We need Agent Barry, friend of the podcast, Matthew Barry, to show up in one or both of those movies. Just because he's a really good guy, and would like to see him back in the MCU.
Yes. But I have another thing I have to announce. Now that Robert Downey Jr. is back in the MCU, what happens when he runs into Joseph Quinn? Will the universe kind of just shatter into pieces knowing that they kind of are the same person in the same universe?
Maybe. Who? I don't know. That is a good question. Well, if we play out the rules, then yes, all time, space and time will cease to exist, and everything will implode.
Yeah. I could see that.
And the DC fans will rejoice.
Yeah, but other than that, that's kind of all the big announcements that are announced in San Diego Comic-Con 2024. One thing I will announce that no talk about Blade, no mention of Blade whatsoever,
sadly.
because of which is very sadly, because I know that movie right now is a bit of an hiatus with their own issues of writers and directors at the moment. So, yeah, no announcement of Blade. Hopefully they can get that figured out. And most importantly, no television, no Disney Plus announcements, but we believe that probably will be saved for D23, where we figure out what they're going to do with their TV slot and how that connects into the overall tempo at the MCU moving forward.
Yeah. My one hope with Blade, now that Deadpool and Wolverine, an R-rated movie, did well, they'll pull the reins back a little bit and allow that movie now to continue in the R direction, which is, I think, what they were initially contemplating, and now they will not have any qualms about it, and hopefully that just makes things go smoother. That's my hopes.
That's my hopes too. Yeah, especially how well this movie did. I agree.
Yep. All right, sir. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we covered. So,
Isaac, I much appreciate. Thank you so much. Thank you for suggesting it, and thank you for coming on and talking about it. And we will be talking again soon. Again, make sure to join our social network, where we're found just about everywhere at WD Magicast. Links are in the show notes. I want to thank you for your time. I know how little time we all have these days. The fact that you spent some of that time with us means a lot to me, a lot to us over here at the WD Magicast family. We cannot thank you enough. Please, if you could, go on to Apple Podcasts, go on to Spotify, give us a rating and review. We have all 5-star rating and reviews at the moment. Keep them coming. We need more. The more that they get, the more that they will also do to promote this show. Speaking of promoting this show, do not forget to share out your favorite episode or this episode on social networks so people know about what you're listening to and find out about it as well. Tell a friend, tell a stranger. Let them know about WD Magicast. Walt believed in a big Disney family, and so do I. Don't forget to subscribe to the show while you're at it. This way you always know when a new episode is posted. While you're at it, consider becoming a premium subscriber to the show. Really help the show out. You can do this at our Spotify podcast page. Links to that is on the show notes as well, or just go to our TeePublic store, get yourself some cool WD Magicast merchandise and help the show out that way. Because remember, the show is brought to you by listeners like you. Whatever you're facing out there, whatever troubles are weighing you down, whatever life is thrown at you that seems to be too much, don't give up. Don't give in. People are out there willing to help you. This too shall pass. Sometimes those people are strangers, sometimes they're your closest friends, sometimes they're a friend that you never realized cared as much about you, but is willing to help you out in your time of need. So never give up, never give in, be your own hero, let your light shine for the world to see. And now I'd like to end this week's show with a quote from Walt Disney himself. Physical America, the land itself, should be as dear to us as all our political heritage and our treasured ways of life. Its preservation and the wise conservation of its renewable resources concerns every man, woman, and child whose possession it is. Again, that's from Walt Disney. Thank you again for listening, everyone, and I'll see you next time.